this iPhone 11 for a whole year now, and I've got some things to say. Let's begin. So, first being is that, yes, a long-term review of the iPhone 11, which also just so happens to be the first video of my channel. I'm gonna re-review this, I'm gonna re-review that video, this video, so I'm gonna replace it essentially, because, well, what's the point of having this good in-depth video here, but then having that very not so good in-depth video there, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna have a link in the description if you want to check that out still, to kind of compare from first day, or to the first day of this channel to the present, I guess if you want to. But moving on here. Backstory, story time, I guess. So there's a thing to know about this phone, because before we go into like how it's been over a year, because I could say, oh, this phone's been in great condition, and it's like, well, turn it around and then look at the glass. It's shattered with a cracked glass or cracked lens, and so it's like, if it's cracked like this, then how good of durability does it really have? Should I even buy this? Because looking at your phone, it seems trash. No, there's actually a little bit of a story behind this, and it's kind of sad, but it's whatever. So also, we're gonna break this down into like, the way we're gonna do it is that we're gonna have, I'm gonna have break down like each important topic. I almost stuttered, but I saved it. So I'm gonna like go to cameras, the screen, and then after all that, break it all down and recap it, and then kind of talk about, I guess, what the phone is. I don't really know. Summarize it essentially all into the honest discussions section of the video. So technically, you could skip all the way there as like a TLRR or TLDW. Too long, didn't watch. So that's what that honest discussions tab is right now, I guess. So yeah, kind of recapping all the important sections or topics about the phone, and then talking about it in the honest discussion section. So skip to that part if you want to. Now, moving on, quick overview. So this starts at $599. I almost said $699. So it's $599 because this thing has gone, it dropped in price by $100 this year when the iPhone 12 came out, and it's a very compelling price for what it is. And also it comes in different colors. Green, which it's pretty nice. Well, I mean, it was nice until it cracked. So green, red, black, and white. Yes. So product red, but you get the idea. And storage, 64 gigabytes, which is iPhone or Apple. Why are you selling 64 gigabytes? It's terrible. I've had this thing for up a year, like December time, up until 3 months ago when I got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And this at 64 gigabytes is so bad. Don't even, if you can rock iCloud storage, and if you're not a power user like me, then yeah, this will be fine. It's just that 64 gigabytes is just ugh. And then other than that, you have 128 and then 256, which is will rise the price even higher. So at that point, you just get an iPhone 12 or 12 Pro or something like that, or a used iPhone 11 Pro. So, you know, you get the idea. And also, display, which is a 6.1-inch LCD panel, which isn't that bad. When I had this phone before I got into tech, I didn't really care all that much about it being LCD. I didn't even know what LCD even was. So, and also, big, kind of thick bezels around the screen with a big old notch, which for me, I don't really care for. But when you're watching videos, it does tend to get in the way, if you can see that. So, but yes, I don't really mind the LCD panel, but we'll get into that more. Get more into that later. Yeah. And finally, the cameras, which is a wide and ultra wide, I think, ultra wide there, which is cracked. How unfortunate. But moving on here to backstory. So you're gonna be wondering, how the heck did you manage to crack your black back glass and then the camera lens? That's how do you manage to do that? How does one do that? Well, it all started off as I had this phone in a case for most of its lifetime, so up to a year, up until 2021. Around that time, I took the case off because I'm gonna be honest, I was like feeling it without the case, because I got into tech and I was like, you know, having it without a case looks very nice and it feels very nice, you know. And then, you know, when I had it without the case, it never dropped. I never broke it. Well, it did drop, I think, but I never broke it or anything. It wasn't until I was in my basement with my brothers, and then he got mad at me for something and then smacked it out of my hand, and it just landed face or back, camera down, camera facing down that way on the concrete, and that made it crack. So that kind of was unfortunate. And if wondering for the camera lens, okay, explain that. Well, I'm not even sure how this even happened. I had it in the case, which is, I remember this, I had a black case on this phone, it was an OtterBox, and I put it down on the carpet like this, and I pick it up like about a minute or so later, and it's cracked. And I don't know why. I don't even know how. I've heard this, it's like a problem or something. It's like a issue where the camera lens pops or cracks somehow. I don't know. It's dumb. I didn't even bother to fix it either because like I just get a new iPhone with that because, you know, Apple's prices, you know. But yes, quick backstory. And so to learn from this, to the moral of the story is that this phone has held great with a case on the phone for a full year, no problems, no issues. There are scratches on here. Now this one was from YouTube. The one on the side, the power button or the volume button, that's from YouTube, me doing some stuff. But other than that, I mean, it does have micro scratches, which is very dumb. You know, Scratchgate on the iPhone is very, very annoying. But other than that, that is your story time for you. So hopefully you got your popcorn and I guess enjoyed that. So moving on here, design and size. So the size again is 6.1 inch, and I feel like this is a pretty good size for most people. I tend to like bigger phones and bigger sizes, I guess. I have a 12.9 inch 12 Pro or 12.9 inch iPad, and then the 6.7 inch iPhone 12 Pro Max as my daily driver. But yes, I still feel this phone is a very good size. Even with a case on it, it doesn't feel too big. Are you speaking, by the way? Clear case. The screen, which is, yeah, bezels. I mean, when I had this phone, when I was an average consumer or average Joe, I didn't really mind or care about these black bezels. I still used the phone just fine. And then notch, which I'll talk about more. Yet again, I don't really mind it. I think it looks nice because it gives the iPhone a look, a personality. Because like, if you see this notch, you know, oh, it's an iPhone. You know, it's kind of a very identifiable feature of the iPhone, which is actually getting shorter or shrinking, or it's actually getting shorter, or yeah, not longer, but shorter from the left and right for this year's iPhone 13, which will be pretty interesting. But yes, display and size, they're great. How it feels to hold in the hand. You can easily, I mean, it's actually, now I noticed it, this, I don't know what to really say, but this here, like, using two hands is awkward. It's better with one hand, just like this, very comfortable, with no case and everything. So, regarding that, display and size, it's great, it's fine, or design and size, I'm not sure what this one is, but yeah, it's fine. So moving on here to cameras. The cameras overall actually really good. The wide camera is really, really good, so I'll take a photo, like, I guess, here. Boom. Behind the scenes, I guess. It's very good, especially in lights. There's no problem with it. But then it comes the zoom in, which is a bit sad. Oh no, actually no, it's fine. Zooming in is fine. You have 5x for optical zoom, I think so. Yeah, 1x and then 5x optical zoom. And then there's 0.5, which for me is extremely blurry because one little factor, this, like I said in the backstory, it's got cracked. And before that, the ultra wide is really, really cool, very nice. It was pretty helpful. I mean, I don't really use ultra wide all that often, despite having a 12 Pro Max, but I don't really use it all that often, and also despite using an iPad Pro with a ultra wide shot on iPad Pro. But in all seriousness, I really don't use this camera at all. But yes, it's really good, except I can't show you much of anything. I'll do another one here. I can't show you much of anything because the glass is shattered. So, but yes, overall the cameras are pretty good. Now moving on to the rear, or the front facing, and then moving on to video. It's blurry. I don't know why this is. It's just blurry. I'll take a photo. No, I gotta actually be there. Good. That was terrible. But whatever. So it's kind of blurry for some reason, even with light. Like, it's the front facing camera is very blurry. I didn't even know how this even happened. I mean, there's no shatter or anything on the front facing camera. So I don't get how this even got blurry. But before, like when I first got this phone, the front facing camera was amazing. Very good. You're not going to have any issues. And regarding cameras, which we'll go into now, video, there is 4K 60 FPS. Or in this case, 4K 30 FPS, because this video is in 30 FPS. So I might as well do it instead of doing 60, because I might mess it up. We get the idea. So here's the iPhone 11 camera of 1x, the standard camera, and this is what you expect. Pretty sunny out here. and hopefully the microphone quality is pretty good. You'll get a kind of good idea of what to expect with this camera. So yeah, I think it's fairly good. No HDR, like if you're wondering if the iPhone 12, there's no HDR, just 4K at the very max, and it's very crisp and good. And I'll show you some footage on the screen. And I'm moving on here to low lights, which I've covered everything else, but low light is decent, I'd say. The sensor in this it's okay. I mean, the low light photography isn't the best. Actually, it'd probably be better if I just close the blinds, but let me just try to get a very dark area, I guess, here. And let me do something real quick. Okay, so I don't know everything about the whole how many optics this thing has, how many little sensors and everything. But the low light, that's decent. It'll do the job. If there's just no light within wherever your environment is, then it won't be too impressive. It is a little bit, what do you call that, blurry, or what do you call that? Fuzzy? No. A little bit grainy, that's the word. A little bit grainy. But that's fine. It's just that, you know, low light isn't the most impressive thing. But if you have light, like I said, this thing will be absolutely great. And with the 5x zoom, it's pretty good. So nothing to really complain about all that much. And so moving on here to battery life. Battery life, it's pretty good when I first got it. So before, like right now, my battery health, which I'll take a screenshot. Let me go to battery after more than a year. Wait, what? Your battery health reporting system is recalibrating maximum capacity and peak performance capability. Okay, so it is, right now my battery just happens to be recalibrating, but right now it's at 86%, but right now it's being like tested and reported, but 86% of battery capacity. So right now it's not the best. I mean, it also isn't my main phone, but when I first got it, the battery life was very great. I mean, it's not anything you will notice. I mean, it'll get you through the entire day without any problems. It's just that right now, after a year, your battery health may be looking at around 80% or higher, or not that low, but like, you know, just below 90%. 90% or lower is a better term to use. And let me go over to screen time. Now, screen time isn't the best thing to show because everyone uses their phone differently. I am a power user, but I haven't been using this phone. I haven't been daily driving this phone for 3 months, so I don't have any stats of me using it for like the battery or more accurate hours, I guess. Okay, so what I mean is I can't give you an accurate depiction of the iPhone 11's battery life because I no longer daily drive this phone. I daily drive a 12 Pro Max. So, and I don't really remember what my average battery life was. I can only get 7 hours. Yet again, you can search this up on like YouTube or something, but I can only guarantee that I probably got 7 hours or above because I did use my phone quite a lot for YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I can't really give you any stats of my battery life because it was 4 months ago and I don't remember. So, but yeah, back to the video. But right now, 2 hours of screen on time for the entire week. Like I said, I don't really use this phone all that much. When I did, it was more than that, like up to 5 or more per day. But overall, the battery is great. You're not gonna have too many problems. You're gonna have to charge it once a day, pretty much one time at least in a day. But if you're just like a low user, if that makes sense, if you're just like a person that just uses their phone occasionally for Snapchat, I guess, or Instagram, and then gets off and uses a PC or something like that, then you're not gonna notice too much of a battery problem. Because, you know, the iPhone 11 series of phones had some of the best battery out there, like the 11 Pro Max, which has like, what, 11 hours screen on time on a single charge, or 10 to like 11 on a single charge. Like, it's insane. So, like I said, not too many problems with battery. And so moving on here. Okay, so cellular. There isn't much to talk about regarding this because this phone has 4G, and over the past year, I never had too many like Wi-Fi or 4G drops in connection. I've had that more with 5G on my 12 Pro Max, but with 4G in this phone, not too many problems, not too much to talk about. And if you are a average consumer or really anyone, no one's really gonna notice these faster speeds with 4G and then 5G. So if you buy this phone and you think you're missing out on 4G or on 5G, you're not. There's not much to really talk about regarding this. So it's been great. The connection has been great over the past year. Never had too many problems with, you know, connection drops and everything compared to 5G. And so that's all I really gotta say with this. And so moving on to RDU. Alright, so RDU. Okay, so there's a few things I can go over here, like the speakers, LCD panel, how it's like to watch videos. And what I mean by that third option is that, like, you know, how the bezels look, how like the how dark it really gets, because these what do you call them? Bezel, not bezel, but they call like the pixels are not gonna actually get that dark because it's not an OLED, it's an LCD panel. So, but first off here, Face ID, boom, super fast. And then let's go over to YouTube, go to Flossie Carter because he has some pretty good songs. And then we'll go over and zoom in, test out these speakers, and let's go. Alright, so I'll let you be a judge of that, but I think they're pretty good for an iPhone, I guess. Now let's go over and to an HDR video to show you this notch.
What do you want from me?
This is Black Widow.
Understanding of the fearsome god.
Alright, so start over. HDR. The screen doesn't get too bright. I mean, it does get bright. It's just that compared to an OLED, it's not going to be as good. But, you know, the average person isn't going to really care about that. They just want a phone that works. And so this definitely does work. Watching this in person, it's pretty crispy, but just like when I was watching this on my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is an OLED which is an OLED screen, which has an OLED screen, it looks way better and way more crispier, but crispier, I guess. This one, it's pretty good. You can tell it's HDR. It's just that it isn't really meant for HDR. It's okay. It's still got its, you know, details and stuff. And here with the notch, it's kind of annoying when you're watching full screen videos. Now, if you're watching it like this, then it's fine. Playing a game or something like that. But, or no, when you're playing a game, it's going to be like this, full screen. And it's a problem because that notch takes up space. It's kind of annoying because you're kind of drawn to that black kind of bar area. And I've actually heard that the notch is actually getting shorter, or like, you know, it's getting like slightly kind of shorter like this. But still, I mean, like that, it's fine. Like this, it kind of, it's in the way. I don't really care all that much, but it is indeed in the way. And along here, with these, like these side bezels here, like these kind of big chunky ones. Let me see. It is kind of a gray. Now, you probably can't see it on camera, but when you look at this in person, it is kind of a dark gray. You can kind of see it there. It's kind of a gray. It's not really a full black like this. Like, here's black, but then here's the, yeah, it's kind of gray. It's not really a big deal. It's not too big of a deal, although it is something to note. And so let's kind of, let's see, let's go over to, I'm going to write this down. So in terms of like scrolling and stuff, it's fine. You know, iPhones are pretty smooth, so you're not going to notice too many problems with it. Now, we can try, I guess, maybe, we'll go to camera, I guess. So like I said, you can see there, that ultra wide, meh, because of that, my screen. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. That's kind of the main thing I want to talk about in the RDU section. Is kind of those speakers and how it's like. Because everything else is fine, like a regular iPhone. Swipe down, super smooth. Gestures. You have your, I can have my shortcut where I can put it to dark mode. So yeah, standard stuff. And so moving on here to honest thoughts. Honest thoughts. Alright, so yes. It recap of all the things I talked about in this video about this phone, paired with my honest thoughts about the phone entirely. And so what I think firstly is that this is a very, very compelling buy, because this is a iPhone 12 except without 5G, without OLED, without a better design, without MagSafe, without an OLED screen, without better cameras in night mode. But besides those things, put those to the side. Let's say you don't care about those things, then this phone is a better buy. And plus, this has better battery life. This also has software updates up to 5+ years, like the iPhone 12. And with the iPhone 6, still gets updates to this day, which came out a few years ago, pretty long ago. Pretty crazy how it's still getting updates to this day with iOS 15. And so, $5.99 for basically a pretty good way to get into the Apple ecosystem because of its low price, because of the two cameras, Face ID, and then you have pretty much all the features the new phones have. And if you're wondering, well, what about the XR? The XR is this phone but just like, what's the difference? And so between the XR and then this phone, the XR doesn't have an ultra wide camera. The XR doesn't have as many updates as the iPhone 11 will get. And after that, the XR doesn't have, I guess, what else is there to really say? Better battery life too, but other than that, it's great. And those are the two little differences between the two. I think this is probably the better buy out of all of them. If you're just looking for a cheap iPhone, If you're looking for a decent iPhone, this is a pretty good buy to get, or a pretty good option to look at, I'd say. So that's it for this tech review. Hope you guys kind of enjoyed this one. Hope that really helped you decide whether this is a good phone or not. And yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.